So, our newest Warframe Yareli, right, with the latest Sisters of Parvos update. Where do you start with this frame? The definition of a fan service Warframe is definitely going to need some love, some hot fixes over the next few weeks. So I'm going to hold off on doing a proper review of this Warframe, I guess, until we see if they do anything for her. But forgive me for what I'm about to do in this video, because I don't make negative videos often. But if I was to give a proper Irish review of Yareli, it would be she's feckin' shite, lads. Easily one of the worst Warframes to ever be added into the game in my 8 years of playing. And I don't say that lightly. There is a throwback to when Zaku was released in a terrible state before they eventually fixed him, or other really bad Warframes that were added and then later got a fix and turned them into a decent frame. And I'm hoping that Yareli will get the same treatment. But it has to be said, she is a fan service Warframe right now and nothing more. Her whole kit is just underwhelming as hell. There's no synergy between abilities, nothing gels. It's like abilities might have been an afterthought. They just liked the visuals or the design of this frame and wanted to add it into the game and thought, you know what, we'll just stick any old abilities on. Her mini quest is simply just forcing K-Drive on players as well by completing tricks and races to unlock pages of a comic. However, the comic itself is a nice touch. So just a quick recap of her abilities and I guess a quick explanation of what I mean by saying she is a mediocre Warframe. Her first ability, Sea Snares, shoots out 3 water bubbles that crowd control enemies while dealing some minor, very minor scaling damage. Even with high power strength, the damage is minimal. 3 enemies is the most you can have in a horde mode game where dozens of enemies run towards you at any given time. This could have scaled up with power strength, giving you more bubbles for additional crowd control, or it could have even debuffed enemies to allow Yareli's other abilities to deal more damage or be more effective, or be affected by that Sea Snares, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. It doesn't, it's just a crowd control for 3 enemies. Her second ability is her jellyfish K-Drive called Merlina, which is a mobility ability that allows you to zip through maps while shooting off the back of it, so drive by K-Drive. It also gives her a flat damage reduction of 75% that can't be scaled up with power strength. She is a Warframe that is basically made of glass. She will die rather quickly, so damage reduction would have been a really nice benefit for her. The K-Drive is great in an open world setting, but on Corpus ships with narrow corridors or Grenier galleys, it is an absolute nightmare of getting stuck on railings, on boxes. Dismounting mid-air then puts you out of the map, or getting one shot by a melee, getting knocked off by that K-Drive by a melee enemy like a butcher or the likes, which means she instantly loses that 75% damage reduction and she can die on higher level missions. The K-Drive's health scales with power strength, but it could have worked like Rhino's Iron Skin and absorbed incoming damage on initial cast to give her more damage reduction, or even Neja's Ring, or more survivability, but again, it doesn't. The movement just feels wrong in a small corridor setting. It feels rather clunky. Now, her third ability looked like it had some serious potential while we seen it on the dev stream and while you start leveling her Aqua Blades. Razor sharp blades circle around Yareli, dealing damage to anything that comes into contact with the actual ring, not outside the ring or inside the ring, just the ring itself. However, it is restricted to 4 meters away from Yareli. Range mods will not scale up the distance of these blades, and the damage on them honestly isn't great, even with a very high power strength build. So a Warframe that's not got much survivability has to initially get up close and personal for Aqua Blades to function, and again, melee enemies will dismount you from Merlina. Range mods would have been really ideal with this ability, making it far more appealing to players, but it also, I guess, this ability is the one you can subsume off Yareli, which would mean other frames would then benefit from that distance on the blades as well. Her ultimate ability is her Riptide one, right? Keyword there being ultimate. You're expecting it to be incredibly powerful, or somewhat powerful at least. This is where Yareli will cast a giant water bubble that will suck enemies in for crowd control, but then it kind of blows them away with blast damage, so it ragdolls them back out of that crowd control, which kind of negates the fact that you've just sucked them into a big group to try and kill them. Damage from this Riptide does not scale, and against higher level enemies it is minor damage at best, so it could have been so much better. Imagine, like I said, if the Sea Snares, her first ability, actually debuffed enemies and allowed them to take more damage from the blades and from Riptide as well. It would have made, I guess, synergy between the abilities work much better. As Yareli sits right now, as I said at the start of the video, she is just a fan service Warframe for, I guess, kawaii fans who don't really care much about the abilities and just like the visuals. And if you're one of them, then knock yourself out, enjoy the frame. But from my perspective right now, and I hate to say it, but she's feckin' shite, lads. As always, thanks for watching.